this is like all signed and everything, right? Because I can't really see the back of the camera. I'm opening. I'm so excited. You should seal more of our homework assignments, just so you know. My cover sheet. Segment number 1. You are a full-time educational interpreter at a high school. The administration has made it clear that your role is to facilitate communication and that you are not to handle discipline in the classroom. This year, you have been assigned to a 9th grade physical science class. In the middle of a lesson, the teacher's cell phone rings. She says, "Excuse me," to the class, and with a worried expression and hushed murmurings into the phone, steps out into the hall. You are left alone in the classroom with the students. A low hum of chatting begins at once. What do you do, and why? Well, obviously there would be a lot of conversations going on. I would probably let the student know that there's conversations happening around the classroom. I'm sure that the student isn't just going to sit there and stare at me with a blank expression. They might ask me, like, what's happening, or turn to a friend. Depending on the connection between me and the student, they may want to talk to me or to the other students around. If the other students are feeling like it's okay now to, like, whisper or chat about what just happened or something like that, then obviously the deaf student will hopefully feel the same thing. If I'm doing my job right, they'll feel the same feeling that it's okay now to do this. So maybe they'll talk to a friend if they have them in the classroom, or to me. So if that's what happens, where they start initiating a conversation. If it's between friends, I guess it depends. I would, sometimes deaf students can communicate with their friends without help, and they don't want the interpreter there to interpret conversations, because if they're friends, obviously they're friends in and out of the classroom, whether or not there's an interpreter there. So maybe if that were happening, I would probably sit back, be attentive of what's going on, but just watching. If they start talking to me, I don't think that there's anything wrong with me talking with them and telling them, oh, well, I don't know. Obviously, the main question is going to be going on is, what do you think just happened? Like, who's on the phone with her, whatever. There's nothing wrong with students murmuring in the classroom when the teacher steps out, so long as when she comes back in, they're quiet again. So I wouldn't feel any urge to, like, quiet them, besides the fact that that's not my job. I would just sit, kind of go with the flow. If she needs me, the deaf student needs me to interpret, I would interpret it. If not, then I would just sit back and watch. If a conversation is going on between me and the deaf student, and they're asking me, like, well, what do you think happened? Obviously, I'm not going to, like, go, oh, well, I heard this in the, teacher's lounge or whatever. No. I would just, maybe say, I don't know, I hope everything's okay, and then maybe ask a question about their homework, or do you understand everything that's going on in class? Or maybe I wouldn't even continue the conversation, depending on my relationship and my role. In an educational setting, sometimes you're called on to help. You want comprehension to be happening, so if it's just like, I'm just here to interpret, then I would probably stay out of it. But in many educational settings, it's okay to, like, make sure you understood everything that's happening and kind of help them understand. Because I think that would be okay, because other students might say, they would obviously be asking, what would happen, what do you think happened, is she okay, but then if she's gone for long enough, they'll probably progress to, so other topics, like, did you understand what happened in class, like what she's talking about, what did you think of the homework, or other schoolroom talk, whatever. Yeah, I would just kind of go with the flow. A lot of it depends on my relationship with the deaf student. their relationships to other students in the class, and my role as far as education or just communication. So that's what I think. Segment number 2. You begin to flip through the latest copy of the RID Views when the deaf student gets your attention. She seems troubled and begins to tell you how upset she is that she can't drive because she's deaf. She continues to explain how excited she was about getting her learner's permit like her hearing friends, but her mom just told her last night it's not legal for her to drive since she's deaf. Her face is flushed. She signed something about wishing she were hearing before putting her head down on her desk. Just then, out of the corner of your eye, one of the students locks eyes with you and then bumps his lab partner and says the interpreter can't say anything anyways. What do you do and why? Wow, that's a really tricky situation. Obviously I know that it's legal for deaf people to drive. I don't know. I mean, what the other student said about interpreters not being able to say anything, I don't really care. I don't care what they think. So that's not even part of my analysis of myself, of what I'm going to do. With regard to the student, they opened the topic and then closed it because she put her head down on her desk. Obviously she's not looking to continue the conversation. But I'm definitely going to keep it in my mind. Probably what I do is just kind of let it go for right then. She's obviously upset about it, but I don't think that she's necessarily open to me just like reassuring her without, she's thought this is true in her mind, so I'm not going to just convince her by saying something else. And I don't mean to contradict her mom, but since I know it's wrong and that she can drive, she can get her learner's permit, probably what I do is ask the teacher, maybe just like drop a hint to the teacher, and then maybe I would go double check with the driver's ed and just be like, do you have something that says that she can drive? Like, just because it's who I am and I tend to develop connections with people, and that would really bother me if she was really upset about something like this. Because if I could produce some sort of material that would say that she can, I might give it to her and have her send it home to her mom just so that her mom knows. There are very few mothers in this planet who just like to make their children miserable. So, also very few mothers who really do not want their children to drive. When it comes to driving your children everywhere when they're in high school, then I'm sure most parents are like, please get your license, you can drive yourself, and I don't have to drive you anywhere. So I can't imagine that her mom really doesn't want her daughter to drive. So having correct information about it, I'm sure, would not cause any angst in the household. So I wouldn't address it right then. She's not in an emotional state to handle that, but I would tell the teacher if it seems to be affecting her learning. We're obviously talking about an educational setting because she has a desk and it says the deaf student, so, and students and lab partners and so on and so forth. But I would just see if I want to let the teacher know there's this thing going on. If you notice, she's not been paying attention today or whatever, this is something that I noticed was going on with her. It's good for a teacher to know that. And if I were a teacher, I would definitely want to know that and address it. So I'd probably give the teacher the power to just be aware and then move on. As an interpreter, it's not like the deaf student told me that in confidence. She just signed it in plain view to someone who's on staff.